Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about outside play for children. With us today, we have Virginia from a thousand hours outside .com, a thousand hours outside.com, and she is a former high school math teacher, and she is currently homeschooling her four children. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today. So today we're going to be talking about outside play, and never in the history of mankind have children been so plugged in to electronics, media, video games, iPads than ever before, and so disconnected from the natural world. And it's a problem because childhood obesity, ADD, depression is going on. It's higher than ever in history. And could it be because children are not getting enough outside play? That's a question to ponder on, I guess. I know when I was growing up, probably my most beautiful memories were outside, riding my banana seat bike, collecting bugs, making ant farms, playing hide and seek with my brother and cousins outside, and tag, freeze, all those fun games. And of course, we didn't have the internet or cell phones or Facebook or any of that growing up. And so we truly enjoyed the experience of being outside. And I think Richard Louv, and I know you mentioned that resource, I want to bring that up. This is a wonderful book. Richard Louv, he wrote a book called The Last Child in the Woods, and I want to quote something that he said that I think is pretty interesting. He said, "Today, average 8-year-olds are better able to identify cartoon characters than native species such as beetles and oak trees in their own community." So that is something to really think about. And I think it's true. I think if you take a child outside and you ask them, maybe the average 8-year-old, what kind of bird is that? They might not be able to tell you. That's just a bird. But what kind of bird is it? Or what type of bug is this? But if you ask them about a cartoon character, of course they're going to know, right? So Jenny, so can you tell us what motivated you to have your children outside, and how many hours do they spend outside?
Sure. Our time outside actually began by happenstance. I had a girlfriend who was also homeschooling, and she was 1 year ahead of me. And her plan was to use a Charlotte Mason approach, and she had done some research on it. And she told me that Charlotte Mason recommends that children spend 4 to 6 hours outside every day during the months where the weather is good. And it just seemed like a whole lot.
Yes, that's a lot.
I think that the typical American family does smaller chunk activities, a library program, a swim lesson. Even when we're outside, we went blueberry picking the other day, and you see a lot of families come and go. They come for 90 minutes, they come for 2 hours, and then off they go.
Yeah.
To other things. And
so
that amount of time seemed really almost undoable.
Yes, definitely. For the regular American family, yes.
But I had 3 small children. They were 3, 2, and a baby. And I was really struggling being a mom and carting them off to these different activities that everyone seems to do with their children. And so one day I spent this 4-hour chunk of time with a girlfriend, and we went to a park with no toys and no playground equipment. It was just a park, an open space. And I can't even tell you how blown away I was at how phenomenal it went. The kids just had so much fun. It was multi-age, and they did what you were talking about. They ran around, and they played tag, and they chased squirrels, and they sticks, and nobody was fighting over toys. And I was able to sit and nurse my baby. I was able to have a conversation with a girlfriend. It was like a dream.
Wow,
it was just really unbelievable. For myself as a mom, and for my children, and for my house, it wasn't messy when I got home because we were outside all day. And we bought a picnic lunch, and we stayed from 9 to 1. And it was a life-changing day for me because it was the first day where I thought, wow, I can do this maybe somewhat successfully with my children. So we aim for a 4 to 6 hour chunk. Not every day, because that's a little unrealistic.
Yes.
3 days a week. realistic to kind of get in that amount of time, 3 to 4 days.
3 to 4 days, yes. Yeah, that's definitely doable, and I know there are families out there that they're even gonna think that this is a lot, because there are families that the mom and dad, they work all day, and there are other families that they don't have backyard, they live in the cities, but there's always a way. And even if you can get your child 30 minutes, 15 minutes, even if a grandparent can help, so there's always ways to get them outside. And now let's talk a little bit about why is it important to get their children outside, because I think people don't realize the importance maybe of why it's important to take them outside.
Doesn't it? It seems like it's a little bit of something that's on the back burner.
Yes.
Or it's the last choice or the leftover choice. All these other things seem to come first. And personally, for me, we had been outside solely because it was working with my family. It really worked with Multiage, with all my children, and we've been doing it for about 3 years, and never once ran into one other child, which was just unbelievable.
Wow.
At the playgrounds we did, but not at the hikes or the parks. There was no other kids. And so after I started the blog is when I really started to do some more research, so that I would have blog posts. And there are just benefit after benefit
Yes.
for being outside. So I've got a quick list.
Okay.
There's physical and health benefits.
Yes.
So the air is cleaner. There is a minimum step requirement for children to maintain a healthy BMI, which is something that's of concern for my husband and I. We want our children to be healthy. It's not the first priority, but it's up there.
Yes, definitely.
So, little girls are supposed to get 12,000 steps a day, and little boys are supposed to get 15,000 steps a day.
Wow.
And it takes us about 5 hours of outside time.
For those steps?
For those steps. They get about 10,000 in 5 hours. And then, from then the rest of the time inside at home, they get to their numbers. That is a considerable amount of time.
That is.
We have kids who have 15 minutes of recess here. They come home from school and they stay inside.
Yes.
They just can't possibly be getting.
No, especially if they're inside and they live in small apartments in the city or something like that. How many steps are they getting at home inside? Or if they're sitting on the couch, they're not getting anything at all.
Exactly. So the movement, the increased movement just happens when you're outside. It improves eyesight. So if you think about all the variety and the depth, you talk about the opposite of four walls. There's seeing, depth and trees and leaves and little pebbles and big rocks and even if it is in the city, they're seeing all sorts of differing things with their eyes. So they say eyesight is improved. The natural vitamin D protects against a lot of things, bone loss and heart disease and other health issues. There's improved motor abilities. So kids who are using their brain to walk, up and down slight hills and pebbly paths and climbing trees, those things help. So there's a lot. There's educational benefits. Kids who are outside do better in school. There's improvement with ADD symptoms and ADHD symptoms and autism.
Definitely, there's so much.
Outdoor play usually leads to some pretty stunning changes. Better concentration in the classroom, increased problem solving. The list, to me, it just goes on and on.
It's on and on. Yes, it's huge.
There's social benefits and emotional benefits. When you talked about the rise of depression, that outside time reduces stress. It gives kids this freedom, and they can be free and they can play, and it just decreases their anxiety. And then additionally, there's connection benefits. Families are really disconnected, aren't they?
Yes.
From other families and also even within the family. You hear families that everybody's in a different room on their electronic devices, or even if everyone is in the family room watching a show together, everyone has their electronic devices out. So if you leave those in the car and you go for a hike, you all accomplish the same thing, and it's perfect for multi-age.
Yes, definitely.
So the benefits are are so vast that it needs to be something I think that is on the forefront, that parents and families should schedule it in like the other important activities.
Yes.
Because of the benefits.
Yes, definitely. And like you said, the bonding. I think bonding with families is something that a lot of people can benefit from. Another thing that why I bring my children outside is also because of the vitamin D that they get from the sun. That's very important. If they're inside all, in the winter, in the summer, it's very important to get them out, expose them to the vitamin D. And like you said, when you mentioned that you took them outside and they didn't have any toys and they were playing there, I thought that was interesting because a lot of kids, they depend on toys to have fun. And when they don't have the toys and they're outside, they can use their imagination and enjoy themselves outside, doing whatever they want, basically, using their imagination. So what are your recommendations on, like, if someone's starting they see the importance and they want to start to get their children outside, what are some recommendations that you would give on outside play?
I've talked to some friends who don't have as flexible of a schedule as I do. I understand I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I have a fair amount of freedom, and we're also homeschooling. So we're in a different boat than a lot of families. So for families where the parents are working or a single parent home, and there's school restrictions or summer day camp, that sort of thing, I would recommend starting with the weekends and also with the evening time. So even eating a meal outside would provide benefits. Can you eat your dinner outside? Even if you're in the city, can you put your picnic blanket out on the sidewalk, take a little chalk with you maybe, and have a dinner out there and watch the cars go by or see the people walk by. So what I would recommend is that a family would put it into their calendar. No matter what situation that you're in, there's usually, a few hours a week, if not a little more, that you can schedule in outside walks after dinner or a weekend trip to a park. And to try maybe and pack a meal so that you can stay a little bit longer.
Yes, okay. And in terms of, like, when people think about, okay, so taking their children out, they think about what do they need to bring out there? Like, what activity should I do? And you just mentioned something that probably a lot of people don't even think about, that you don't really need to bring much. But what activities would you recommend for those parents looking to bring their kids outside? Or what can they do with their kids out there?
Well, I think a good hike is one of the best starts. Something that is a mile or less. And every city has a recreation department. Usually the states have recreation departments. So I would recommend starting there on a state website or a city website and to see what's around. Is there a little hiking path that you can do? Is there a stream that your kids can play in? Is there an open space park where your kids can kind of run around? A hike is a perfect choice because there's a start, there's an end. If you're child-led and you kind of let them go at their own pace, they take a while.
Yes.
And the kids find little treasures. So I would recommend taking along food, some snacks that will cut your time short if the kids are hungry, water. We usually bring a change of clothes in the car because I like for the kids to be able to get muddy or wet, or those are the things that for their sensory skills and those are the things that really engage them. They love that.
Yes.
So I try and have a change of clothes. And I also always bring along a friend.
Yes.
And I think that is key for safety, as well as for the social aspect. And even though I have 4 kids and they can play with each other, it always helps to have extra friends around, and they really enjoy that. So food, water, clothing, a friend, maybe a picnic blanket, and that's pretty much all you need. You don't need any toys. We sometimes bring library books.
Yes.
So when we sit and have a meal, we'll read, and that's a special time too. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, and like I think it's extremely important for people to realize that one of the most important things about being alive is to have experience. And if your child is sitting on a couch watching cartoons, if that is the experience that they're going to have in this life, then I don't know. But I grew up, like I said, with outside playing. There was no internet. There was nothing. And I've actually visited the Amish people, and their kids are always outside. And I've talked to them, and I've asked them, what do your children do? And they said their children are always outside. Why, of course, they don't have electricity. What are they going to do inside? Outside is so much more fun. So nowadays, I think people kind of have to beg their children to go get outside. And I think one tip that I can give is for people to not tell their children to go outside. Go outside with them. Instead of telling them, go back outside or go outside and play, it's good for the parents to go with them and share the time with them outside so that they can see the importance of being outside. So can you tell us about the challenge that you have going on your website, in 1000hoursoutside.com website?
Sure. So I co-founded a blog called 1000 Hours Outside to bring awareness to what you said, that kids are spending so much time. Childhood has moved indoors, is kind of what the experts are saying. So to bring to light the benefits and just the awesomeness of nature.
Yes.
And how it can shape a childhood so differently than inside time. So I do love these large chunks of time, that 4 to 6 hours, the immersion in nature. And so when I calculated 4 to 6 hours 3 times a week, it ended up in the high 900s. I can't remember the exact, or maybe mid 900s in a year. It was maybe 950 hours in a year. And then, there's summer vacation and there's baseball games and there's things that people do that kind of add on to that. So it seemed to round nicely to 1,000 hours in a year.
Yes.
And so that is the challenge.
Yes.
Is to try and hit that 1,000 hours outside. It's a call to be intentional about something that is very healthy and beneficial for our families and for our children. And what I particularly like is that it comes very close to the amount of time that children watch television, which is an average of 1,200 hours per year.
Wow.
So we're trying to rival that to a degree and come close and put out that challenge to change the landscape of childhood to a degree. And this is my first year of recording our outside time. And what I have found is that it is really difficult to get the 1,000 hours. And yet, it's given me a good perspective on 1,200 hours. That is a lot of time.
Yes.
To be watching television.
Yes.
So that is
Definitely.
my challenge. It's in 18 to 20 hours a week. So we're talking evening walks, we're talking weekends outside with family. It's a considerable amount, but it feels so good.
Yes.
It feels very right, and it feels very, can't really think of the word, but it just enhances. And
Yes.
when you talked about Richard Louv at the beginning, one of my favorite quotes of his says that while TV steals time, that nature amplifies it.
Wow,
And
that's
that
beautiful.
is what we have now.
So if any of you guys want to join the challenge, please visit 1000hoursoutside.com. They have beautiful information there, beautiful pictures of their children outside and ideas. So with that, is there anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, I will say our tagline is very simple, but sometimes the simplest messages are the best. It is when you have the choice, choose outside.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ginny, for being with us today and for all the great ideas. And maybe we'll have another chat soon.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, bye.